Welcome back to The Huddle. I'm reporter Ruth Lang here with sports editor Mike Brown. We are looking this week at the end of regular season basketball for the high school boys. What's that looking like for us, Mike?
It's hard to believe that 4 months have come and gone, Ruth. Here we are, the last week of the regular season boys, but it's been a good winter for two teams in particular, the Alliance Aviators and the Marlington Dukes, and both those two had rare Wednesday night games this week, and they both won, and they both won in impressive fashion. The Aviators went over to the Canton Fieldhouse and beat the Timken Trojans 57-49 in that game. J.J. Gakura had 31 points, Ruth. I mean, he just went off on that. Great night for him. And the same night, the Marlington Dukes were home in their last regular season game to the Field Falcons, and they beat the Falcons 72-47. In that game, Lucas Struble, who's just been tearing it up all year, scored 35 points. So we've got two dynamic scorers in our area this year.
That's high scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that's going to be key for them and carry them through to the tournaments that are coming up?
I think so, because I think you need to have that one dynamic guy you can go to. You need to have the role players too, but you want to have that one guy who's the go-to guy for you, and they both have that. So that should give them some staying power in the tournament coming up.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the matchups that we're going to be seeing possibly next week with
the
boys?
Well, I think first the regular season on Friday night. We've got a few teams left Friday night. We've got Marlington has finished the regular season, but Alliance goes on the road Friday night. They'll play the Kirtland Hornets up at Kirtland. That's a haul. I've made that travel before. That's about an hour and 15-minute drive up there. They'll play that game. West Branch goes on the road Friday night. They'll play the South Range Raiders. An independent game, and also Friday night Sebring's on the road too. They make the long journey up to Southington to play the Chalker Wildcats. So, and that would wrap up the regular season on Friday night, Ruth. And then turn ahead, we've got all four of the immediate area teams will play in tournament action next week. On Monday night, we'll have the Sebring Trojans and the West Branch Warriors will be involved in tournament action at different venues. Sebring Trojans will play Canton Heritage Christian. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. at the Struthers Fieldhouse. That's in the Division IV sectional there. And then the same night at the Division II Boardman sectional, the West Branch Warriors will be in action. They'll be playing the Struthers Wildcats, and that's going to be at 6 o'clock. And again, that's at Struthers. Then on Wednesday night at the Canton Fieldhouse, we've got a doubleheader, a really attractive doubleheader. Alliance and Marlington will both be playing, not be playing each other, but they'll both be playing that night. In the first game that night, the Marlington Dukes will play the Akron Springfield Spartans. That's going to tip off at 6:15 p.m. from the Fieldhouse. Then the nightcap next Wednesday night will have the Akron Coventry Comets playing the Alliance Aviators, and that will be at 8 o'clock. So a lot of exciting tournament basketball coming up. A little bit of the regular season left here this weekend, but looking forward to the tournaments. I think we have some teams with some staying power, and we'll see how it plays out.
Sure, and speaking of tournament time, the girls are in it, and we have a couple area teams who are still fighting for position to stay alive this season.
Right, yeah. We've lost three teams, the Alliance girls, who made a lot of strides this year. They were really young. They won a game this year, and I think they were playing competitive basketball, some of their best basketball at the end of the year. So, in my opinion, Coach Lee Hood gets an A+ for the job he did this year, because I think he laid the foundation for the future that's going to help that program get better and start winning games on a more regular basis in the future. But they had a tough tournament draw. I covered that game. They played out at Lake. They played the number 2 seed, the Akron Manchester Panthers, and they lost that game 72-22, which is one of the first times in quite a while, that they have lost a pretty one-sided game, because their games have been pretty competitive lately. But that closed their season. Then the Marlington girls, they played out at Lake earlier in the tournament. They lost to the Fairless Falcons. That's the second time this year they've lost to Fairless. And then the Sebring girls, I covered that game. They had a tough draw. They drew the number 1 seed Lowellville Rockets, and that was in the Division IV tournament over at South Range High School, and they got beat. But we do have one immediate area team left, Ruth. We've got the West Branch girls, who were the co-NBC champs this year. They won their sectional opener on Wednesday night, and that was over at Austintown Fitch High School. They blew out the Youngstown Liberty Leopards 76-29. It was really one-sided. And so West Branch moves on. They'll play for a sectional title on Saturday against the Streetsboro Rockets. That's going to be at 2:30 p.m., and that'll be at Austintown Fitch High School as well. So, we've got the boys are getting ready. The girls, we've lost some girls teams, but we have a couple really good girls teams left, including West Branch, and we're looking forward to that. So it should be a lot of fun.
Sure, looks like it's shaping up for a good tournament matchup.
Absolutely.
That does it for this week's edition of The Huddle. Be sure to check back next week and keep in touch online at www.the-review.com. and in our sports section.